everyone. Welcome to our July NGH Washington meeting. My name is Joey Solberg. I'm the chapter president. And I'm excited to be here today with all of you. It's a beautiful summer day. So we have in attendance some of our members as well as some of our board members. So we have Tina Worthy's here with us as our vice president. Dean Green is here as our secretary. And like I said, I am president and events coordinator. And I am so thrilled today to introduce our speaker, Lydia Faye, who's going to be talking about Jung's map of the psyche and understanding those archetypal symbols that are commonly experienced by clients in dreams and hypnosis sessions to help achieve a balanced relationship between the conscious and unconscious. Lydia is a former English as a second language instructor of 10 years and is now transitioning to mental health and life coaching services and therapy. So very, very excited to introduce Lydia to tell us all about this really, really fascinating topic. So I am going to let Lydia come up first, and then I will come back later and I'm going to tell you all about our chapter and join us.
Good morning and howdy everyone. So excited to be here. I hope you are too. This is going to be a sure. If you like hypnosis, probably like Carl Jung. He's a depth psychologist. He was one of the people in the early 1900s who was actually kind of experimenting with hypnosis in his own time. And he has what I would characterize as an interesting vehicle to understand mental health. I want to be clear, I'm not saying that anything I'm talking about today is like factual, you could measure it with numbers. This is about how the mind interprets information and basically how we come to understand ourselves. So this is going to be a lot of fun, but it's also going to require a little bit of courage because we're going to be looking at ourselves, which means figuring out why do we do the things we do. And it's not always fun. Right, let's get started. Through voyage of discovery lies not in seeking new landscapes, but in new ones. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. How many times do we go through life having the same problems, doing the same things over and over again, thinking we must be cursed? There must be some karmic reason why these things keep happening to us. But do we ever stop to question, how am I contributing to my own suffering? What is my part to play in all of this? What can I do differently that's going to make success happen? So that's kind of the interesting thing about depth psychology. Now, this is a bit of a dated vehicle. This is not something that I think a neuroscientist would agree to. But this is Jung's concept of what the inside of your mind basically looks like. So just bear with me for a little bit while we stare at this confusing picture. The ego. The ego is the thing that you're probably the most familiar with. It's the thing that says, I am. So when you're like, oh, hi, my name is, I was born in this place, my parents are this is the story of all of the things that have happened to me since I was born. That's the ego. It's the thing that knows, I like these colors, I don't like those colors, I like these types of foods, I don't like those, I like this kind of entertainment, I like those things. It's the part of you that you think you are. The self is the part of you that, if you stripped all of that away, if you went back to when you were first born, before anyone gave you a name, before anything happened to you, you already knew how to be you. You already knew everything you need to know to come into the world and to exist and survive and thrive. Of course, you're an infant, you're learning from the culture, you're learning from your family, but this is the self, this is the uncorrupted essence of who you are. if you like to do meditation, you might consider that when you breathe in and a thought pops up in your head, and you know that you are not the thought, you are the witnesser of that thought. That thought just popped up. So whatever stress is in the back of your mind, just come forward, relax it. How many times are we trying to go to sleep and all the stuff that we ignored through the day just comes rushing in to be like, hey, you forgot to think about this before you fall asleep, and now you have to be stressed out. That's what that is. Or interestingly, if you were to see a box of donuts on a table and you thought, oh, donut, I want one. Is that really you? Did you actually make that decision, or was that just a biological reaction to seeing donuts on the table? That's kind of the question. So that's, are your thoughts really you? If they aren't, then what is really you? That's the self. That's the witnesser of all the things going on in your life. The persona is who you want people to think you are. So you go to work, you can't tell your boss what you actually think of them, right? You have to put on a face, put on a mask. I'm helpful, I'm kind, I'm warm, I'm pleasant. In the back of your mind, God, I can't wait. Just peel over. That's your persona. That's the part of you that we're trying to present out into the world as your professional image. It's not who you actually are. It's a highly curtailed version of the traits of you that you think are the most successful. They're the things that are going to get you further into your life. And then that leads us to the shadow. So everything so far, the self, not so much, but the ego and the persona are in your conscious mind. You're awake, you know to do these things. You know that there's part of you that you're like, yes, I'm charming, you should like me. And in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, there are the parts of me that if I showed them to people, they wouldn't like me as much. So I should hold that back. But then there are also parts of you that you don't like, and you have pushed away. Oftentimes because you were told to by a parent figure. So this becomes your shell. And I think an interesting way of understanding this is if you have an overachiever child. You have someone who, from an early age, their parents decided, we're going to shape you. We're going to make you the most successful. Because I love you, I'm going to craft you. I'm not just going to let you be and grow and let you just become an organic thing. I'm going to forge you into something useful. Because I love you. That's how parents do sometimes. So then for overachiever kids, they are given praise. They're told you have to do these things, you have to achieve, you have to get their grades. And all the things that are fun for kids, playing, being silly, just enjoying their free time, that gets cut away. So because that's cut off of them, and they're told, no, you can't do that. If you do, you're wasting your time. You're not good, you're not useful, so you're bad. So they will literally internalize that message, and they will shove that part down into them. And it's like cutting off a limb, almost. It's traumatic for them to say, this is an aspect of human existence, of life itself, and I must forego it in order to be accepted in the tribe. So as adults, these people are constantly anxious. They're dealing with the fact that they've put their self-value off of what they can achieve and not just existing as they are, the lovable creature. And then the sad thing is when they meet other people seem like they're having a good time, it picks at their core wound. It picks at something deep inside of them that says, hey, I gave up being fun. I gave up love and happiness and warmth so I could be successful, so I could get these things. If you're happy and you have relative success in your life, that means I didn't have to do that. And that's painful. And we can't accept that. We don't wanna. That sucks. So then we attack those people. It's just this weird primal force that comes up and says, "You like you more than I like me? You're not allowed to like you more than I like me." And so I'm hurt. No, you're hurt. And that's what the shadow force kind of does. And until we can actually perceive it and understand where is this coming from. And that doesn't just mean, oh, I know why I do shitty things. It means in the moment, when your fight or flight is going and you know you're about to do something that you won't respect the next day, that you stop, pause, take that moment, stretch it out as long as you can. And when you can do that, you will have control over your shadow. I've seen it. It shows them a different outcome. That's the work. And it's really, really difficult because the shadow exists in a blind spot. It's the part of us that we don't want to accept, we don't want to look at, we don't want to see. It's kind of our job to go looking for it. And that's what Jung considered self-actualization, was this process of looking for parts of ourselves that we had discarded long ago and integrating them back into us so we could be whole. That doesn't mean being perfect. That doesn't mean being amazing. That means being a full, whole functioning being. And this is in our unconscious. This is what happens to us in dreams. And this is why you have nightmares. If you've ever been chased by something in a dream, I don't know if you're good at lucid dreaming, but if you can, try. If you're ever being chased by something, you stop and you turn around and you ask, what do you want from me? What can I do for you? How can I be good to you? It will actually stop. And no matter what scary wolf man is chasing you, it will melt away and turn into like a fairy godmother thing. Be like, oh, you're paying attention. Hey, you have a lot of responsibilities you're running from, and I just needed you to know. And you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I'll take care of that. And then you won't have nightmares anymore. That's how much this thing wants your attention but can't get it. Also in the unconscious, there are two forces known as the anima and animus. My God, do these cause so much for all of us. Effectively, there are projections. They are what men think of women and what women think of men. They are the man inside every woman, they are the woman inside every man. And we both kind of dislike looking at what the other one likes about us. This is where your Oedipus and Electra complexes come from. This is why it's necessary to cut the apron strings at a certain age. If you do not deal with these, your romantic relationships as an adult are going to suffer. They're going to be difficult. Effectively, the anima would be like Odysseus and Athena. If you think of the Odyssey, you think of how Odysseus is this clever, cunning hero. He's the captain of the boat, and he's talking to Athena. And Athena is whispering all of this divine wisdom into him, so that way he can go on this quest to be the bravest, strongest warrior. That's kind of the male fantasy of femininity. It's like, oh, you'll help me, and you'll tell me what I need to do so I can go be the strongest, bravest boy. And you'll tell me I was good. Yay. And until they can stop doing that, they're going to put people up on pedestals. They're going to need the approval of the opposite gender. They're not going to understand that that's what's holding them back from being an adult. And this goes both ways. This is just, I don't clearly see you. I see what I want of you. And if you will provide that for me, then I will give you conditioned love. And part of the act of growing up is understanding that these forces only exist in our mind, that people around us are human and mortal, fallible, and that we kind of just like to be around each other. So shadow work, how do we do it? It's difficult. How do we perceive something that's invisible specifically to us? Projection is one of them. Projection is probably the easiest. How does it work? We've all experienced love at first sight, right? Like you saw the hunky dude, you saw the chick with the windblown hair, and just all time stopped, and you're like, oh, and you just felt overwhelmed by the presence of this person, right? Has anyone ever felt hate at first sight? Anyone? Can you think of it? Can you think of a person that they are just your pet peeve? You hate interacting with them. They are so annoying. That thing that they do every time you see them just gets under your nerves. You cannot stand them. That's your shadow. It is a trait that you don't want in you, so you put it in other people. So again, going back to like a workaholic, if you have someone who's like a real workaholic, someone who's really trying to do everything they can to constantly be on top of things, and then they see someone who's not. They see someone who they think is lazy, or, just not responsible. That will drive them nuts, because that's the other end of that rod, responsibility and laziness. So if you're too anxious and you're over responsible and everything has to be accounted for, or I can't breathe any relief compared to nothing really matters, I don't really need to do anything. I can just relax and everything's gonna be fine. Those are two ends of the same rod, right? So when you see something that you hate in someone else, you have to ask, why? Where did that come from? Where is my judgment of this thing? That's your introspection of bias. Identifying why we feel so embarrassed about these things. Sometimes it's the trait itself. I had a dude at work who really showed me my shadow, and it was kind of humbling. This is a humbling experience. You will feel a little embarrassed, a little humiliated. I was talking with this dude, and just the whole time, the only thing he could do was brag about all these cool things he had gone and done. I just thought, you cocky son of a gun, I hate hanging out with you. You just think you're so cool, blah, blah, blah. And I just stopped and I was thinking, like, you have no idea that I've done all these cool things, and I've done this and that, and I can meet you tit for tat. Oh, that's why that makes me angry. I'm mad at myself. And that's this process. That's why this hurts. So if you see something today, have courage. I was actually practicing this with a friend of mine. At one point, I guess something must have struck a chord with her, because she went, and her foot just kicked out from under her, and a little mini trash can went sailing across the room. And she just looked at me, she's like, no, no. And it's so funny because this happens to all of us. This isn't part of us. These archetypal forces, the things that are in our shadow that we're about to talk about, they're part of the human experience. They're not anything that makes you unique or different from any other human being. We all go through this. So please don't feel embarrassed when you meet the thing that you're like, oh no, please don't tell me I'm like this. Take that as a message, and maybe make a game out of it. If you're sitting next to anyone and you're like, could be fun. Interestingly, projection comes in so many forms. So I put homophobia, bullying, and infidelity up there because oftentimes the people who are most concerned about these things are the ones most likely to be doing these things. There is a stereotype that the people who are most against the LGBT community are the most likely to be found in a motel with some dude. Bullying, that comes from at home, someone's getting hurt, and it's that, I'm hurt? You're hurt. You're hurt and I'm not. That's projection. Again, infidelity. If you've got someone who thinks that you're probably sleeping around because they thinking about it a lot. It's driving me nuts. Victim blaming is another part of this. These are just the things that we do that are part of our psyche. They're a protective part. We do these things because we're protecting our ego. We want to approve of ourselves. We want to be proud of who we are, what we do, what we stand for. But then we have this part because the real world sometimes faces us with issues that you can't meet face to face. So we have our shadow. So we have to learn how to integrate this. So we're about to. Here are a couple of interesting quotes. Only one who has risked the fight with the dragon and is not overcome by it wins the treasure hard to attain. They alone have a genuine claim to self-confidence, for they have faced their self and thereby gained themselves. This experience gives faith and trust. This is Carl Jung. This is the original God. In the cave you fear to enter lies the treasure you seek, Joseph Campbell. I actually like Joseph Campbell more than Carl Jung. Carl Jung is the original, but take everything that he wrote with a grain of salt because he was in the early 1900s and he was heavily influenced by like the Victorian age. A lot of the stuff that he was writing on is heavily influenced by his like culture of origin. Joseph Campbell's super cool because he took Jung's model of the psyche and he applied it to folklore, mythology, religious stories, all of these things that are art, that are an expression of human psyche, that this is how we understand ourselves in the world. He collected it across all cultures, all continents, anywhere humans have been, through as long as recorded history has been written down, and a lot of oral traditions as well. He wrote a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. It's a very lengthy text, it's very academic. If you're into it, it's one of the coolest things I'll ever read. If you want like a real-life Indiana Jones adventure, read that. You're gonna have to deal with the fact that it's an academic text. But effectively, Carl Jung would be dealing with people thinking about the masculine and feminine in terms of Western tradition. The feminine is not just the earth mother to be walked upon. You could look at Aphrodite, you could look at Artemis, you could look at any of the pantheons of ancient ages. They were just as capable as anyone else. So that's the one thing that I would say as a disclaimer if you're going to pick up any of this and start reading Jung is read Campbell too. Bring yourself to the more modern expression. All right, the dragon. What is the dragon? So, interestingly enough, in every age, in every culture, there has been a story, the monomyth. This is the one story that we tell over and over and over again. It's about human beings, it's about our place in the world, and no matter what age we've been in, it applies. Ultimately, it strips away the iconography. So if you think about the concept of what does it mean to be a hunter? Well, some people might think bow and arrow, go get a deer. Some people might think detective, I'm hunting a person, equipment. Some people might think librarian, I'm hunting knowledge. I'm hunting faith. I'm hunting something. But at its core, what a hunter really is someone who braves the unknown. They leave the tribe, they go somewhere else. They find something useful, they recognize its use, and they bring it back to the tribe. And that has been true of hunters in any context. So that is at its core what a hunter is to us. So the dragon, or the monster, the evil, malevolence, in Western culture, we think of it as a dragon. In Eastern culture, dragons are kind of a sign of nobility, which is an interesting juxtaposition to this. It's the shadow of our life force. We want to go out, we want to live in the world. We want to go and do cool things. We need a certain amount of confidence to do that. We have to believe that we can. If you go to a heart surgeon and say, hey, I have problems, can you open me up? You don't want one who says, well, I do pretty good work. You want one who says, yes, this is routine, I've done this a billion times, you have great hands. That takes a certain amount of confidence, a certain amount of grandiosity. How do we know when it's too much? How do we know when it's too little? This is the work. We have to grapple with the dragon our whole lives. We can't kill it without killing ourselves. And if we deny it, we'll never become anything. But if we let it run the show, we will be miserable for our entire lives. This is the source of almost all of our misery. So what is it? How did it become this way? How did we get to having a dragon? In the Jungian tradition of self-actualization, they would say that an infant is born and they give it an archetype called divine child. What is a divine child? Why is that important? New life. That life will continue. That's kind of a sacred, holy idea that there's someone new here. We're passing on the torch. You get to experience this too. And children have this way of making things new again. If you've ever been around a child, they're delightful. When they have enough sleep and enough food and they're feeling okay, it is just hilarious to watch them play with things. The world is new. Everything is new. They pick up a pencil, and it's a rocket ship, and they are just, and they don't have to be worried about, oh, people are watching me, they're gonna think I'm dumb because I like my rocket ship. They're just out having a good time. And that renews us when we are around that kind of energy, that creativity, that new spark of joy, that revitalizes us. So there really is a divine aspect to the child. But it's kind of our job as parents and adults and teachers and community members to help slowly pick them up out of this high chair where they're the king, they're the queen, they're in this divine, everybody gives me attention, everybody looks at me, and I'm just perfect because I exist. And we gotta slowly lower them so they can stand on their own 2 feet, and they're in the mud, just like the rest of us. And that's adulthood. That's becoming an adult. And one of the big problems of our modern age is that we lack the rites of passage to do that. We aren't creating traditional adults today. And in fact, the dragon is kind of becoming rampant. It's just everywhere. You can see it in all of us. I'm not different. You probably aren't. You'll see this in someone you know. This is addiction, aggression, envy, narcissism, violence. Robert Moore called it pathological infantile grandiosity. Pathological because what he means is that there's a problem on a neurological level, that this is like a mechanical failure. Infantile because a lot of behaviors that we're going to be discussing about the dragon and what we can do about it, you can basically see in children. If you've ever been around kindergartners, you see this on a day-to-day basis. If you've been to a middle school, you know this. You're gonna recognize this. I promise you, you will. So, we've had enough time to be reading all this, but just one more point. This is mechanically why you don't want to. This is kind of the tricky thing, is that if you try to help people who are like this, the baby up in their high chair doesn't want to be put in the mud. They don't see that as help. They think you're trying to come take their crown and wrestle it off their head. They're like, no, where? And I will shake my rattle at it. There. But Grandiosity at its core just means that we want something that's not realistic. Our life does not support this grand view that we have. And chasing it, we become manic because we are constantly whipping ourselves trying to get to that thing that's not achievable, or we become depressed. We get to a point where we just give up because the thing we wanted can't happen. So why do we want it? How are we going to have a good life like that? Now, there is something that I want you to be clear about if you know any dragons in your life, because you're going to be recognizing them. There is some clockwork behavior they have. This is how you face them if they come to you. Remember this acronym. It is DARVO, D-A-R-V-O. Deny, attack, reverse victim, offender. What does this look like? If you've ever been watching kids in their play, maybe one of the bigger or smarter kids comes by. They don't like one of the other ones because it may be getting attention. They'll come by and just smack. And coming back in, you're like, Billy, did you hit Bobby? He has a black eye. I say, no, Bobby was bullying me, so I stood up for myself. Now, attack, reverse victim. So there's going to be a lot of times where if you see this kind of behavior in other people and you're trying to have a discussion with them, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's a friend, you're going to want to talk to them about, hey, there's this thing that happens that this makes me feel not so good. If they do these things, you can see that. So deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. When someone who has this as their main issue, it's a problem. Because as you slowly start peeling away all the masks, as you start showing them, this is the real reason why you bully your younger. The real reason you don't like him is because he gets more attention. Like that's probably what it is. That recognition of, oh, I'm petty, I'm mean and cruel, and I do things that people don't deserve. It's painful. It sucks. So we deny it. No, they deserve it. My little brother stole my favorite Hot Wheel car. He deserves to get a black eye. We do all this mental gymnastics. We justify ourselves to do the bad behavior. Then we wonder why there are consequences, why we're pushing people away, why no one wants to spend time with us. It's this. It's just this. So how do we fight this? How do we actually protect ourselves from becoming the dragon? We need it. We need the life force. We need to know that we can do things. But what makes us a good person? Now, Robert Moore wrote that book. I'm trying to remember which camera I want. Facing the Dragon. He has this Jungian archetypal framework. These are the 4 areas of what makes an adult. So go from divine child, you either usually become a fool or a maiden, and fools become sages with enough bumbling, so don't worry. But this is the bumbling. This is what we have to do to get our act together. So there are 4 main quadrants of the human psyche. And again, these are symbols. They exist in every culture. You are not them. They are not you. They're a thing we have a relationship to. And that's an important distinction, because the moment you think you are one of these things, they are controlling you. You're no longer in control of your actions. This can be a powerful tool. It can also consume. So please be careful. So that's what we're going to be trying to navigate today together. So we have the royal order, blessing, sovereignty. This is the king or queen, the type. They're in every fairy tale. They're in many of our religious myths and stories. They represent becoming an adult, that the ability to make your own decisions, you willingly accept responsibilities, and that you're doing well for your kingdom, and that your kingdom includes people who are not just you. And that's the tricky part. The warrior is discipline, courage, and service. Service is the one that people don't necessarily like to do. They want to be big and strong. They don't want to help other people with it. They want to do that for them. That's not why you have that strength. That's not what makes you useful to the tribe. Then you have the magician. They have insight, knowledge, transformation. These are your priests. These are your teachers. These are people who work with other people to help them improve. So a lot of us here in the hypnotherapy community, we're certainly magicians. Pay attention to that when we get there. Then we have the lover. We'd all like to be this well. We'd all like to have more of this in our lives. Passion, connectivity, vitality. This isn't just romantic love. This isn't just, ooh la la, I think you're pretty. This is, how much do you like your life? How much do you love waking up in the morning, seeing the sunlight out and saying, it's going to be a really good day? That's the lover energy. That's what you want. And these are the ways that we get them, by relating to this. All right, let's get started with the royal. So the royal brings stability. They bless, they set boundaries, they hold vision. Sounds a lot like a parent. This is kind of what you need to be looking for in a partner to assess if they will be a good parent. Do they bring stability? Are you constantly cleaning up after them? Do you have to do more because they're around? Or do they make you feel safe? Do you feel like you can communicate with them? This is good. Do they bless you? Do you bless other people? The main problem with the royal is that they don't understand to be a good leader, to be a good executive functioner, you have to have the well-being of other people at heart. When we want other people to bless us, the throne becomes a high chair again. That's mommy, daddy, notice me. Tell me I'm perfect. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm so cute. Play with my nipples. Feed me, love me. Just notice me. Attention. Attention, I am the king. I am the queen. That's the problem of the royal. That's the shadow. So when we have too much grandiosity in this facet of our psyche, it comes out as the tyrant. This is power for power's sake. This is just, I want to be top dog because I'm me. I don't care about the group. I don't care about the function of the role. I don't care that this person is responsible for making sure that the party keeps going. I just want it because I'm me. That's the tyrant. A lot of times this will come out in force. They don't know the difference between force and power. Power is just truth. Force, it's kind of like if you shake up a soda ball, you have to put your thumb over it before it fizz out. You have to continue to exert energy to make the outcome that you want. As soon as you move your thumb, it still fizz. So that's force of power. Tyrants use force. They don't understand anything else other than, listen to me. You're gonna listen? No? Listen to me. How about now? Kiss the ring. They want you to kiss the ring. And they will either tell you, do it, or there will be consequences. Or oftentimes they will leverage their alliances with other sovereign rulers. They'll just cut you out of the tribe. They'll just ignore you until you decide that you need to kiss the ring. That's the royal, that's the tyrant. The weakling, we all know. Like, we've all seen things that we're like, ooh, will someone else go do that for me? I really, no, I don't wanna. You've seen the trash and it's been overflowing and gross. Like, ew. Hey John, where are you at? And this is when we decide we're better than others, and other people can do drudgery so we don't have to. Weaklings don't get respect. Tyrants crave it too much and throw it away. So the interesting thing about relating to the royal archetype is that you can be both a tyrant and a weakling. Essentially at the same time, they're not mutually exclusive. These are the two aspects of the shadow. You are either over important and think you need to have power just because, or you really don't want to do anything because you're too important to do things, so other people should. We just want to believe that we can control things. That's how grandiosity affects the world. So, again, think about that. Where do you see that in your life? Where have you done this? Where have other people done this to you? What can you do about this? Recommended reflections. So the painting is the founding of Alexander. So this is Alexander the Great. Or it's supposed to be. It's been long gone. Who knows if that's what he actually looked like. Alexander the Great, and you'll see that Frederick the Great, Catherine the Great are on this list. What makes them great? What makes a great leader? Why would we remember them forever in history as great? It's because of the relationship they have with their people. Alexander the Great's magnum opus, years, I want to say it was more than 10 years into leading the Greeks out of Greece into what's now India. They have been fighting and ransacking villages, and they were sending the wounded home. And some of his men saw that the old and wounded were going to leave, but they had to stay. It had been years since they had gone home. So they complained, and they wanted to leave. Alexander got up on stage, addressed his men directly, and he said, "My father Philip formed the Hellenic League. Before him, your fathers were just sheep herders, and the nicest thing that they owned were the leather hides they clothed themselves with. Under his leadership, we came together, and under my leadership, I have made you wealthier beyond your wildest dreams. How dare you say that I am not looking out for your best interest? If you want to go home, go." His men apologized to him. Not a single one left, and they continued on for many years. That is leadership. That is, I know you, I'm taking care of you, and you want this. In Plato's The Republic, if you've not read it, it's again, I like to read. I'm giving you a lot of, I get that in some of it. But it also gives you a lot to go and adventure with. In the very first chapter of The Republic, Plato discusses what makes for a good king, a good and just king. No one likes a tyrant. Tyrants end nations. They throw the good away. How do we stop having them? And just in the very first chapter, I tell you to read the whole book, but if you can only read the first chapter, read this. Plato says, the only person who should be king, the only one who should be the monarch, who should lead us, is the one who doesn't want to. They see it as a chore. It's difficult work. They don't like it. They do it because anyone else would become a tyrant. Does that feel like the sword of Damocles? Cicero relates to this myth. He's kind of the first source of it. This is just a myth. Damocles was one of the aides to King Dionysus of Syracuse. He thought it was really cool to be king and said, "Hey, Dionysus, you have it so great. Isn't this awesome?" And Dionysus said, "No, it's not." He said, "What do you mean? Do you want to be king for a day? We'll see how it goes. I'll advise you. It'll be great." So the next day, gives him the crown. He's sitting in the throne. He's holding court. He's deciding whose goat has gone into who else's yard. Now there's offspring. Who gets that goat? Like, what's fair? Who gets to decide? He's like, "This is awesome." And so the morning ends, and he's sitting there on the throne. He looks up. He he sees that there is a sword hanging directly above his head, and that this crown does not just denote his elevated status, but is in fact a bullseye, is a target on his head that he carries with him always, and that it was held by one horsehair. When he asked Dionysus why he got that there, he said it was to remind him that one poor decision, losing the faith of his people, angering an ally, looking weak in front of an enemy, anything could spell ruin. As long as you have something of value, there are going to be people who want to take it, and you have to have the virtues necessary to hold on to it. Boldness takes the keep, virtue and wisdom keeps it. It's a very good myth to remember. The anti-Machiavel, Frederick the Great, Catherine the Great, I don't want to go through history with everybody, but these are really good figures. If you wanted to know what makes a good leader, Machiavelli released something called The Prince. It's a terrible, really shisty, this is how the rich stay rich and be horrible to everyone. And Frederick the Great decided to take it upon himself to read it and say, this is why it's all BS. Your people will hate you. You won't last very long. Other people will rule and you'll hide in the shadows, basically. The warrior. The warrior is another aspect of being an adult human that we need to cultivate ourselves. This is purposeful, disciplined, ethical action taking. This is standing up for yourself. This is speaking truth to power. You might get hurt. Someone might try to come after you. You still have to fight. It's worth it. Making sure we're still good. So here, grandiosity manifests as workaholism. The fantasy that one can keep the world from crashing down around our ears by working farther and farther, hypervigilance. We want to believe that. We want to believe that if I just read one more book, if I just learn one more thing, take one more class, if I learn a new skill, if I do something more, my life will have more stability, I will have an anchor, I will know that I'm safe. Anxiety and workaholism go hand in hand. If you see someone who's a go-getter, you see someone who is like always on the ball, they always have to be doing something new or they can't stop. It's because they're afraid to stop. It's that hypervigilance. It's the what else can be done. The enemy train today, have you? That's difficult to deal with. When it gets out of hand, we become sadists. This is where we see conflict as our salvation. This is where we start fighting people just to pick a fight, because as long as we're winning, we know we're not losing. And that makes us feel safe. We will alienate the people around us if we do this. It's not good. We shouldn't be doing these things. Being unfeeling is left for the battlefield. Being masochistic is the other side of this coin. This is something that a lot of men tend to deal with, is that they put a lot of their self-worth off of what they can provide. They become self-sacrificing. They want to become grenade jumpers. They think that their value comes from their work, and that's it. They don't know how to develop a likable personality. They don't know that they can be loved just for being them. They don't know that just for the sake of being, that's enough. So they identify heavily with this idea of, I must be a beast of burden, I must go to the front line, I must sacrifice in order to be loved. And it destroys them. It completely hollows out the human experience. It makes them almost incapable of experiencing love because they don't really believe that it's there. They believe in providing value. So that's the masochist. It's a problem. Interestingly enough, And this is for the warrior and the lover. This goes back to the animal animals. This is how we notice them. Interestingly, men won't tend to develop their lover aspect very well. They're told not to because they could be gay, or feminine, or bad. It doesn't make you strong and useful. So they'll tend to have an over-reliance on women to provide that lover energy into their lives. Conversely, for the animus, women tend to make the men be the warrior. At least in Western culture, that's kind of thing. So what's interesting, to me at least, is that there is an unspoken need. We need this energy in our life, but either through societal reasons, we're shaming people, don't be too masculine, don't be too feminine, don't be too forward, don't be too happy. We're trying to police other people and what they do, because again, we're playing that invisible game. Don't be happier with yourself than I am with me. If you feel strong and brave and courageous, if you feel like you can speak up for yourself, where does that leave me? And if you feel like you can be happy, you can be vital, you're connected to the world, you don't need me, where does that leave you? So that's kind of the trap of these aspects and their shadows, is that we have to do the work to develop them within ourselves. We have to see this energy as something we can relate to and cultivate in our lives, but at a healthy level, and there's that balance. So with the warrior, we need to be disciplined. We need to know why we're doing the things we're doing. We need to be able to stand up to confrontation. If you have something worth doing, you're gonna make enemies. People don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to be educated. They don't want you to know things. They don't want you to be powerful. They want you to be reliant on them. So this is the cost of being self-reliant, being independent. You're gonna have to deal with people who want to push you back down. Recommended reflections. So the painting here is Pallas Athene. In war, pray to Athene, not Ares. Even Zeus said to Ares, you are what is contempt of all men. You are brutality for the sake of brutality, and cruelty for cruelty. Athena was the goddess of strategy and wisdom. She was the one who was going to tell you, don't take that fight. Actually, close the gates. We'll wait them out. She was smart. She was the one who was going to see you through. There's a reason why in the Odyssey, Odysseus is praying to Athena. She is the warrior goddess. So I put two concepts on here. For the recommended reflections, these are all kind of related. The Enchiridion by Epictetus and Meditations by Marcus Aurelius are both texts from the Stoic school of thought. Memento mori and morpho te are kind of core to this school of thought. Developing these ideas will help you become a warrior. It will help you be less afraid of your life. Memento mori is our mortal reminder. We remember we are mortal, we will lie dead. If we want our life to mean anything, that means making sacrifices. That means we use it as a currency, that we did something with our life, we did something with our time. That gave it purpose. That made it good. I don't have forever. I can't be so petty. I can't be so choosy and so picky. I need to have a little bit of grace, a little bit of gratitude even for the difficulties of my life. Morpho te means love your fate. I don't know if people really think about this as options. They should, but in case you don't, there is something instead of nothing. And that's special. There absolutely could have been nothing, and none of this could have happened. You couldn't have listened to me. There could have just been blackness and nothingness forever. But there's something that's special. And out of the infinite genetic combinations of human beings who could have been here today, you are, with me, here doing this with us. And every life is a unique story. It's a unique challenge. It has its own narrative. And every narrative has problems. So when you're looking at the problems of your life and you're saying, God, why me? Why would you curse me in this way? Why should this happen to anyone? If not you, who else? Who then? Your life must have problems to exist. That has to be the case. You have to eat. Aren't you hungry? You need a problem. Go eat. Solve it. So understanding that you have to love your faith, no matter how bad it is. It's your life, and what you do with it is up to you. That takes radical responsibility, because there's a period of time in our life that we aren't able to protect ourselves. We have to rely on the people that we were born to, family of origin, our culture, the law. But at a certain point, and the point that we become adults, is when we say, okay, all of that happened to me. I didn't necessarily like it then, but I am who I am today. What am I going to do from here moving forward? That's what we have to do. That's the warrior. Becoming bulletproof, IV Porous. Give me a moment to gush for a moment. If you want to pick up this book, oh my goodness. IV Porous is a secret agent. She was awarded the highest honors that she could get for her rank. She has served under multiple presidencies. During 9/11, she was in the second tower. She was one of 200 CIA agents who helped evacuate the building and got people to safety. And out of that 200, she was one of 6 who grabbed a medic bag and went back into the fray. So as the first tower had already been hit, flaming metal and gas and smoke and human bodies, people leaping from this building because they would rather hit this concrete and die quickly than be burned alive or suffocate. She was running through this falling down range of shot. And when the second tower was hit, she had a split second to grab a steel table, hurl it across a concrete wall, and made a barricade. And while she was there, she prayed. She asked herself, have I done enough? Have I helped enough people? And she wanted to meet her death with honor, so she kept her eyes open. And as the smoke and ash came down, she managed to survive. And when she realized she wasn't dead yet, she realized she'd been blinded because all the ash and soot was in her face. So she was able to get free of the wreckage, wandering through the street until she heard one of her colleagues call. They were able to get her to the checkpoint, wash out her eyes, and she decided to stay for another 24 hours to continue helping the scene unfold. Becoming bulletproof with IV Porous. This is a woman who values stoicism. This is a woman who understands what the incarnate means. She has her own book. It's very practical. If you want to feel safe, if you want to feel like you have the capabilities to handle anything that life is going to throw at you, check out IV Porous. And after hearing that crazy story, after feeling everything that happened to her, one of the things that I respect about her the most, when they ask her, how did you do that? How do you do the crazy things you do? You're a secret agent. You went in and saved countless lives during this massacre. She said, her motto, her mantra is, I am not special. I am a human being dealing with the challenges that are presented. And I'm dealing with them with honor and courage. That's powerful. That's something anyone can connect to. Anyone can be as heroic as her. She is the modern. So please check out my course. If you learn anything, do that. The Magician. All right, hypnotherapists, this is us. We all do it. We are the knowers, the initiators, the thinkers, the ritual masters. So again, you think like scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. You take the kids into the woods, you teach them, this is how you start a fire. This is how you make a tent. This is how you sell cookies. We are giving them skills, important skills that they will need. So part of the magician, this is a lot of these archetypes have to deal with stages of life. I think of the magician as grandma and grandpa, but we start being able to do this as soon as we're kids. But the idea is we want to pass knowledge. We want to be a leader in our community and want to know that the party is still going to be going even after we're gone. How do we do that? Well, we make sure the kids are all right. So I think a lot of us as hypnotherapists are healers, psychologists. We want to know, why do you do the things you do? Tell me about your life. Just, we want to know. When we're dealing with this from a grandiose standpoint, it can be really difficult. Because especially if you're a therapist or a teacher or a healer or someone who's just a community leader, we want to be helpful. That's like our most high ambition, that's the greatest good, our greatest joy. We want to know that we did good. So then other people are like, oh, teacher, you did so great. I now understand it. You are my guru. It's really easy to get addicted to that kind of like, it's smart. I did show that thing. Now your life will be awesome for it. It sucks. We do that. We like to know that we were helpful, and that can be a problem if it goes too far. The manipulator. These people want to know, they don't necessarily want to help. They're the person who will ask, oh, tell me about your family. And what they're really doing is they're trying to see, do you have a good relationship with your mother and father? Like, do you have a deadbeat dad? Is your dad not around? Like, mom cut him out? Okay, so you're going to feel easy to manipulate. You probably don't have a healthy grasp of what it means to have masculinity. That's a manipulator. Goes the other way too. You can do this with kids. How many times have you had to deal with children? Like, hey, are you lying? If you're not lying, show me your tongue. They go, as adults, oh, I can't tell anything. I just wanted to see what you were going to do. Well, that's the magician. That's what will people think, what will they do? That puppet mastery, I'm going to pull the strings. Again, we're in hypnotherapy. The hypno part is kind of what kicks this off. Deniers. These will kill your relationships. These are so difficult. This is one of the most painful things to deal with. This is the gaslight gatekeep propensity of human behavior. Have you ever met someone and they did something and you were hurt? And so you're trying to tell them, hey, you did something and I got hurt. And basically, the only thing that matters to this human being is I'm not wrong, I'm not bad. They can't apologize. Not going to happen. Coincidentally, I told you earlier that this is where my friend kicked the trash can across the room. This was it. I'm not bad, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. This is one of the most childish things that we deal with. We do it all the time to people. We care more about being perceived as good and right than we do about fixing the problem. And so we pretend, well, I didn't know. Well, how was I supposed to? Like, we basically want people to just assume that we have good intentions and that anything negative that happened because of us isn't actually our fault. It's because circumstances. I didn't get enough information. I didn't know that that was important to you. And it's very difficult to actually perceive when someone's honest about it that way. So you kind of have to actually take a moment and think, what would they benefit from me being hurt in that way? Why would they do this? What do they get out of it? It's painful. It's painful because we don't want to believe that we have to do that for people we love. We don't want to have to think that if we're in a relationship with someone, if this is your mother, especially as people age, you'll see grandma and grandpa do this a lot. Oh, sorry, I didn't know they weren't supposed to have candy before dinner. Here's your kid, got candy. Have we never seen that? Never. It's not like granddad's getting revenge for all the times. Shit. Come on. So we see this. And it manifests as us thinking that we're above it all. That I know better than you. I don't have to. The problem is, deniers basically start destroying trust. We all want to be trusted, respected, and loved. But to get those things, we have to be trustworthy, behave respectably, and behave lovably. How many of us are doing that? So my recommended reflections. This is a statue called Mephistopheles and Margarita. It is an artistic representation out of a story I enjoy called Faust. Mephistopheles is literally the devil himself. And Margarita is a lady that Faust kind of fancies. In the story, the devil makes a bet with God that he can corrupt Faust. God, of course, says, no, I don't think he can. Good luck, go try. So he comes down to earth and basically tries to tempt Faust and says, hey, I'll be your servant this life if you will come be my servant in the afterlife. How does that sound? I'm going to reset the clock so you'll be young again. You'll have all of your vitality. You'll get to live life over again. I'll be here to magically make sure everything happens the way you want it to. And he's constantly tempting Faust with all of the things he thinks he wants. All of the crazy parties, all of the magic, all of the knowledge, all of the prestige and money. And Faust still isn't happy until he meets Margarita. He loves, fancies, and wants. So he tries to get. Unfortunately, through go read the story, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but basically that doesn't work out, and she dies and goes to heaven. And then Faust is left for the second half of the story to try and figure out, well crap, I have everything. All I actually wanted was love, and now that's gone. What do I do? It's a good story to contemplate. It has a happy ending, don't worry. The Tao Te Ching I put on here, I like Taoism. To me, Taoism is the kind of the Eastern equivalent of Stoicism. I would highly recommend checking out. It's pretty quick if you want to have like a cultural, what's someone else's perspective on these things? That's another good one. As hypnotherapists, I'm sure everybody recognizes Milton Erickson and Virginie Satir. If you don't, what are you doing here? Be honest. They were wizards. Milton was a wizard. Seriously. He could listen to your problem, hear you talk, think about it, and almost instinctively would give you a suggestion to go do. And in the suggestion, even if you didn't do it, a lot of times you would try to rebel against doing it. That would then have the solution to your problem. He knew he was giving you a rite of initiation. This was a process that was going to create change in the psyche. Marie-Louise von Franz. If any of this sounds cool and you want to learn more, she's an awesome person to go check out. She's also a Jung. She had actually met Jung during her lifetime. She made plenty of additions to his work, but there's an awesome interview of her on YouTube that you can easily look up. I think it's like 2 hours long. Brilliant one. Brilliant one. Breaks. I'm giving you the surface level of a small slice of the pie. She can give you the whole thing. Incredibly wise, insightful woman. Super intelligent. You'll enjoy her. Alright, on to the last one. The lover. Feels deeply, connects with beauty, life, and people. We want this energy in our lives, but so many of us either cut ourselves off completely from it, or we just throw ourselves into it with reckless abandon. This happens. This absolutely happens. Grandiosity manifests in such a way that one believes that the world begins and ends with their feelings and their pain and their bodily and emotional needs. We get so self-absorbed and so locked into what we are or aren't getting, what we need or what we don't want to give, that we cannot connect with other people. Well, that's great for them, but what about me? Who's done anything for me lately? When we are too grandiose in the lover, when we love life too much, we become addicted, impulsive, obsessive. This is addictive both to like sex and drugs, adrenaline, risky behaviors, gambling. I hate to say it, this is probably closer to my shadow. I'm going skydiving in a couple of weeks because I want to feel alive. Yeah! Of course, it's also my birthday. I do it once a year, so it's not like it's a problem. I can stop anytime I want, usually when I hit the ground. So if you have too much of this, it can consume you because you spend all of your life trying to fulfill this need for ecstasy, want to hit that high note. We have this with relationships. How many of us, when we get into a new relationship, we have infatuation, all those chemical hormones that make us go, this is my person now, I'll die for them. And then after like 6 months to 2 years, you start disillusioning yourself. Go, you're wrong. You're just really good flaws. You're not the person I thought you were. That's that addict. That's that I'm too connected to pleasure and I'm running away from drudgery and pain. That's kind of become the only thing that motivates me here. It's not good. For young men, this is how they get addicted to pornography and video games and drugs. For young women, much like the masochist was for men, the addict women comes out as like a seductress figure. This is where women put too much stock in their ability to control men and don't develop a personality outside of that. We've all seen Mean Girls, right? We've seen this movie. Just that's what happens to us is we decide, oh, my value is on my ability to get people to pay attention to me here and to think I'm pretty. So now I go and look at all. And this is my personality. This is who I've become. I'm allowing this archetype to consume me. I'm no longer me and forming this thing for other people. I'm getting the attention of it, but I'm not getting the connection. So people want to spend time with me, but I don't think they see me for me. I think they want what they can get out of me itself. That's the trap of the addict. Being impotent. Sometimes when people cannot connect with the beauty of life itself, they can't just look at the flowers, the bright blue skies. They think, wow, what a wonderful day. I'm so happy to be alive. I get to go do this, to be here with y'all. When they can't do that, they become impotent. They close themselves off. They make these icy walls and hide themselves in their fortress of solitude. Don't come near me, don't touch me, don't talk to me, I don't like you. I'm mad, I don't like me or my life or my connection to life. I don't have this libido within me, this life force to clear. And because of that, I have these blinders on. I can't think about anything else. And that's the thing that's kind of the trap here, is that again, think about it, trustworthy, respectable, lovable. When was the last time you felt lovable? Well, it was probably when you did something that was loving, like I made cookies for my friends this weekend. It was a friend's party, they had a little kid, I knew that we were gonna get together, so I baked some cookies, and that just had a smile on my face the whole day. I get to go be a part of this. I felt lovable because I was being loved, and get what you give. The energy you put out is what will feel inside you. You can't allow another human being to make you feel like you have this lover energy. You have to summon it from within. And if you're waiting for someone else, this is a trap that I've seen in many relationships. One partner will say, "You're supposed to make me happy. Why am I not happy? Therefore, you need to do something for me." And then the other one usually will knowingly sacrifice themselves because that's a fantasy that a lot of people want to have. I can be your hero. I can make you happy. I can do something that will prove how you experience life. Of course I want to be your hero. Who wouldn't? So they accept the responsibility of emotionally regulating another human being. And when that human being basically abdicates the responsibility of emotionally regulating themselves, they make the other person responsible for how they feel. It's a lose-lose situation because the person who should be doing the work is getting weaker and weaker and more disconnected from the concept that they should be the ones doing the work, because they'll get this entitlement idea in their head, like someone else should make me happy. It's not me to be happy. The outside world should dictate how I feel, not how I feel should dictate how I show up. It's a trap. It's a real trap. We're on the home stretch. Recommended reflections. This is Psyche and Eros. This is a sculpture. This is one of my favorite Greek myths. This is a Greek myth that is all about marriage. This is the Greek version of Beauty and the Beast. An interesting thing to note about this story, and kind of a Jungian thing. Jung liked symbols. In Psyche and Eros, and Beauty and the Beast, and also Vasilisa the Beautiful, which is a Russian tale about Baba Yaga. All of these are about the transformation of the young lady into a woman, and how going from maiden to mother, wife, that transition. These stories help us with these rites of passage. Psyche and Eros has an image where one of the tasks Psyche must do to reclaim her love is she has to sort seeds. There is a crazy amount of seeds, and basically Aphrodite, who's Eros' mom, Eros is a bit of a mama's boy. Basically, Psyche does something that she wasn't supposed to, it pisses him off, he goes home. She comes back to be like, "No, actually I realize you're the god of love and I want you in my life. That would be cool." And mom's there going, "You made my son cry. I'm gonna punish you." So this whole story is about her learning essentially the skills that would make her suitable for marrying the god of love. And they're kind of universal as far as this is what makes for a good relationship. Memento mori is the final one. Sorting the seeds is the first one. Sorting the seeds on a neurological level comes down to a reticular activating system. There have been experiments done where they put people in control rooms and they asked participants, "Do you think you're a lucky person? Yes or no?" And based off of their answer, they divided them. And they gave them these newspaper clippings. And they said, "We want you to count how many pictures are in this newspaper and write it down. We're going to time you." 80%, more than 80% of the people who self-identified as being lucky on like page 2 or 3 of that newspaper saw a little blurb that said, "You can stop now. There are 42 pictures in this newspaper." They saw that. Only 4% of the people who identified as unlucky did. Their perception of themselves dictated whether they actually saw what was right in front of them. So this is your reticular activating system. If you think things are bad, they will be, and you're training yourself to look for it. If you think things are good, they will be, and you're training your brain to look for it. Your brain will find reasons to fill in to support that belief. So sorting the seeds is this archetypal image that has existed across different cultures across time that is telling us, the audience, hey, what you think matters. Take your good thoughts, put them over here, and discard the bad. You have to focus on what's good, and what is small, what's just a few seeds, suddenly become a handful. It will become more, become a sack, become a whole year's worth of grain. So that's a really important message that even ancient people were trying to tell the populace is what you think matters. You have to have control over your own thoughts. If you want to develop this skill, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl is a fantastic book. Viktor Frankl was unfortunately in one of the Jewish concentration camps during World War II. He was a prisoner. And this entire book is about his experience going through the prison camps and developing a concept called logotherapy. Logotherapy is about truth and reason, using reason to soothe yourself. But what he witnessed was that the worst conditions, even when stripped naked in a field, given a shovel and told, dig, people still found a way to have purpose in their life. They still found a way to connect with people. And what was good? That even the violence and ill will of bad actors, of Nazis, the most contemptible, disgusting things of Western history, even in a moment of hell like that, can still find purpose. And even in the aftermath, a story that sticks out, right? There's a doctor who's helping heal the survivors. Their wife had died in the chamber, and he was horribly depressed, said, and Viktor Frankl said, because in this life, one of you lived, you have to live. You have a purpose, helping other people here. Your wife would be proud. She's and you know that you miss her. If she were here, she couldn't help as much as you can. Then she would have to bear the pain of waiting to be reunited with the baby. Can you bear that pain, knowing that because you're bearing it, she doesn't have to? It's not good what happened to her, but you can have more nobility in this. Here, more dignity. That helps. That helps us recontextualize and reframe what we're going through. So if you need more love in your life, Man's Search for Meaning is counterintuitive because it doesn't seem like love the way we think of it, but it will make you really appreciate your life. Ecstasy and Contentment are by Robert Johnson. He is also a young psychologist. These are just books about the concept that in life, kind of down in this valley of mediocrity, life is kind of normal, and we get these spikes, these peak moments of, I went skydiving, it was awesome, or I did cocaine, and now I'm addicted, because I don't ever want to stop feeling like this, or I achieved something, and I got a promotion, and now I want my boss's job. Just whatever it is that's driving you to get your next hit of dopamine. Ecstasy and Contentment are two books that would help you deal with regulating this. You want moments of greatness in your life, you want action, but you can't live up there. It's not feasible. You have to come back down to the valley, and you have to do so with enough grace and mental health that you don't destroy everything that's good when you're coming down. Casanova and Julie d'Aubigny, they're just famous figures from history that I associate with lover. Casanova was kind of a scoundrel, but an interesting story about him. There's an Italian actress who has a speech impediment. Her R's come out as W's, so she sounds like Elmer Fudd, wascally wabbit. Without saying anything to her, just because he wanted to get her attention, and he was of nobility, and therefore literate, he wrote a play for her to star in. she would have all of the leading lines, and not a single line the R sounded. And he didn't say anything when he handed it to her. She immediately recognized it, felt that connection, and bullseye. That is why he's known as a great seducer. He understood and connected with people and gave them what they wanted in a way that no one else could. No one else had tried, no one else had articulated, never made them feel bad about what they needed. Julie de Agony was just a wild adventurer. Look her up, she's hilarious. And I put a fictional character here because I think a lot of men struggle to figure out, what does a real life lover look like? Who can I model myself after? What can I do to develop something here? Gomez Addams. Go watch the 1991 Addams Family movie. Like, make that date night tonight. Seriously, you'll appreciate it. This is what people want in their relationships and can't articulate. This connection between Gomez and Morticia. Just the opening scene. Morticia's in bed, the sun is slowly coming down and hits her eyes, and she goes, "Oh, Gomez, sun." And he knows that she wants him to go over and take care of the windows, and she doesn't have to articulate specifically, "Would you go get that for me?" And he sees her and he hears the tone of pain in her voice. So, I gotta stay in bed. And he goes over and he's super suave and he takes a sword and he's taking the blinds down. She's very grateful. Just watch the dynamic between these two characters. Everybody wants a Gomez in their life. Morticia's cool, but I think everybody should take turns being Gomez. You want a partner to be Gomez for you. He's proud of his family. He loves his children. He adores his wife. And he's sympathetic to his brother. He wants to guide them. He has so much passion and life in him. You want to be like him, go watch it. It's a nice joy. Ending thoughts. And then one day, magic day, he passed on it. Always spoke of many things. Fools and kings, the sea sent. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. The classic Nat King Cole interval. Again, I'll say it again. We all want relationships that are based on trust, respect, and love. It's up to us to be trustworthy, respectable, and lovable. That's the key. That's relating to his energies. Anything that you saw here today resonated with you, take it, work with it, contemplate it, go back, look at the suggestions. There's a book you might want to check out, or a story you might want to hear. Really just digest this and understand that you're okay as you are. You're lovable just for being. That's kind of the great thing about existence. I hope that you're around people who make you feel that. If you haven't heard it today, I love you, all the love, all the power. If you would like to reach me, here's my contact information. Lydia Faye, HYP@gmail. You got my Blue Sky social, my number, and I am not officially open for business yet. Check back with me in August. I'm getting that done.